Hello friends, tonight we are traveling back in time, not to a grand battlefield or a royal court, but to the quiet cobblestone streets of a city learning to conquer the night. Our journey is a slow, rhythmic walk through the descending twilight of Victorian London, following the gentle, solitary ritual of the professional lamplighter. We will be tracing a path of light, one small flame at a time. The pace is deliberately unhurried, the sounds are muted, and the story is so wonderfully mundane that you might not survive this without finding a deep and comfortable state of rest. So, before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a quiet way of helping these stories find others who might need them. And, as is our tradition, please feel free to leave a comment, letting me know the time and the place you are joining me from. It is a true comfort to know we are all sharing this quiet moment together, from all corners of the sleeping world. Now, turn down the lights, maybe put on a fan for some gentle background noise, and let's begin our journey for tonight. Your evening does not begin with a grand event or a sudden call to action. It begins with the gentle shifting of the light. Inside your small third-floor room, the grey London sky begins to soften, its colour bleeding into a soft, bruised purple. This is your signal. The day world, with its noise and its rush, is preparing to sleep, and your world, the world of twilight and shadows, is about to be born. Your work begins with the gathering of your tools, the instruments of your quiet and essential trade. First is the pole. It is a long, elegant piece of fir wood, over 12 feet in length, smoothed by the constant grip of your hands and darkened by the city's perpetual damp. It is not heavy, but it has a comforting, familiar weight. At its end is a small protected oil torch, its brass fittings polished to a dull gleam. This pole is an extension of your own arm, your own will, the instrument that will carry the first spark into the darkness. Next is your ladder, light and narrow, built of ash for strength. It is scarred and nicked from leaning against thousands of iron lampposts, each mark a memory of an evening's work. You rest it against your shoulder, its familiar pressure a comforting reassurance. Finally, you gather the smaller necessities into a leather satchel, a soft cloth for wiping the glass panes, a small tin of spare wicks, a trimmer, and a key for the gas valves. You are not just a wanderer with a flame, you are a technician, a craftsman, a professional. You step out of your building and into the descending evening. The air is cool and carries the city's unique perfume. A mixture of damp cobblestones, coal smoke from a million chimneys, the faint scent of horses, and the smell of the nearby River Thames. The cacophony of the day is fading. The rattle and clatter of delivery carts is more sporadic now. The cries of street vendors have mostly fallen silent. The dominant sound is the rhythmic clip-clop of a horse-drawn omnibus in a nearby street, and the distant solemn chime of a church bell marking the hour. This is the liminal space, the in-between time that belongs only to you and a few others. Urban historians often mark the true beginning of the modern city, not with a monument or a monarch, but with the conquest of the night. For centuries, the darkness of a great city like London was a frontier in itself. A place of real and imagined dangers, a void where society seemed to dissolve. The advent of widespread, reliable street lighting was not just a convenience. It was a revolution, and you are one of its foot soldiers, a quiet revolutionary, armed with a ladder and a flame. Your route begins in a respectable, handsome square, lined with tall, brick-faced houses whose windows are just beginning to glow with their own interior lights. In the center of the square's small park stands your first lamppost. It is an elegant piece of cast iron, painted a deep dark green, its fluted column rising to a glass lantern at the top. You approach it not as an object, but as your first partner of the evening. You lean your ladder against the post. The sound of wood scraping gently against the cool iron is the opening note of your nightly symphony. You climb, your boots finding their familiar places on the rungs. From this slight elevation, the world looks different. You are lifted just above the flow of the street, an observer on a small perch. You unlatch the small glass door of the lantern. A faint, slightly sweet smell of unburnt gas escapes. This is where your specific, practiced skill comes into play. You don't just ignite the gas. First, you take your soft cloth and wipe away the day's accumulation of grime and soot from the inside of the glass, ensuring the light will be as clear and bright as possible. You check the small brass jet where the gas emerges, ensuring it is clear of any obstruction. Then, you reach for the gas key at the base of the lamp, turning it just so. A soft hiss tells you the fuel is flowing. This is the great innovation. You remember the old-timers who still speak of the days of whale oil. The dripping, the endless trimming of smoky wicks, the smell. This coal gas is a modern miracle, piped directly beneath the city's streets. It's the lifeblood of the new, illuminated London, and you are the one who opens its veins each night. With the gas flowing, you lift your long pole. You touch the small flame of your torch to the jet inside the lantern. There is a soft, satisfying whoomph as the gas ignites, blossoming into a wavering, fish-tailed flame. Now comes the final subtle art. You must adjust the gas key to perfect the flame. Too low, and it will sputter and give a weak, melancholic light. Too high, and it will burn with a wasteful roar, blackening the glass with soot. You watch it intently, giving the key a tiny fractional turn until the flame settles into a steady, silent golden glow. It is the perfect size, the perfect brightness. You close the glass door, descend the ladder and shoulder your tools. You move to the next post, and the next, and the next, a silent dancer in the growing dusk. Your movements become a rhythm, a walking meditation. Lean the ladder, climb, open, clean. Turn the key, lift the pole, whoomph, adjust the flame, close, descend, move on. As you light the final lamp in the square, you pause for a moment to look back at your work. Where there was once a darkening patch of grey, there is now a constellation of warm golden orbs. Each lamp casts a pool of gentle light, creating islands of safety and beauty in the encroaching sea of night. The square is transformed. It is no longer retreating from the darkness, but is now held in a soft, welcoming embrace of your making. Your long walk has only just begun, but its steady, quiet rhythm is set. You leave the quiet, orderly square behind you, your footsteps echoing softly on the flagstones. The constellation of light you created is now a warm, pleasant memory as you turn into a street that marks the beginning of the next phase of your nightly journey. The character of the city begins to change around you, subtly at first, and then all at once. The handsome brick townhouses give way to taller, darker buildings, their faces stained with the perpetual soot of 1,000 chimneys. The air grows heavier, thicker. You are walking deeper into the city's heart, into its working, breathing industrial core. Sociologists who study urban environments often speak of liminal spaces, thresholds where one area of a city transitions into another, where the rules and the very atmosphere seem to shift. You are crossing such a threshold now. The neat grid of the residential district dissolves into a more chaotic and ancient web of streets, courts and narrow alleys. You are leaving the London of quiet parlours and drawn curtains and entering the London of workshops, tenements and hidden lives. And as if on cue, the fog decides to join you. It rolls in from the river, not as a gentle romantic mist, but as a thick, tangible presence. This is the infamous London fog, the pea super as it's known. It is not made of water alone. It is a heavy brew of sea mist, river damp, and the smoke from countless coal fires burning in factories, forges and domestic hearths. It has a colour, a pale, sickly yellow-grey, and a taste, a faint, sulphurous tang that coats the back of your tongue. The fog muffles the world, swallowing sound and distance. The city's distant rumble becomes a low, omnipresent drone. Your own world shrinks to the small, intimate circle illuminated by the flame of your torch. Your work changes here. In the grand squares, your light was a decoration, an enhancement to the beauty that was already there. Here, it is a weapon. It is a necessary act of defiance against a darkness that feels heavy and absolute. You approach the first lamppost in this new territory, its iron form slick with a damp, greasy film from the air. You lean your ladder, and the sound is duller now, absorbed by the thick atmosphere. You climb into the heart of the fog. The light you create here behaves differently. When the gas ignites with its familiar soft whoomph, it does not create a wide, clear pool of yellow light on the cobblestones below. Instead, the flame punches a soft, hazy globe into the smog. The light illuminates the countless swirling particles of soot and moisture in the air, creating a golden, churning aura around the lamp. It is a beautiful but lonely glow. The light struggles to travel, its edges devoured by the fog just a few feet from its source. You are creating not a chain of beacons, but a series of small, isolated sanctuaries. With the fog comes the smell of the gas, more noticeable in the dense, still air. As you work, you become aware of a familiar sensation, the constant companion of your trade, a dry, almost metallic taste in the back of your throat. It is the taste of unburnt coal gas, a phantom flavor that all Learys know. It is the signature of your profession, a reminder of the invisible element you work with every night. You approach one lamppost, and as you turn the key, you hear a slightly sharper, more prolonged hiss than usual. A small leak. You have learned not to fear these moments, but to respect them. You do not climb the ladder. Instead, you stay on the ground and use the full length of your pole, stretching up to introduce the flame to the lantern from a safe distance. The gas ignites with a louder, more aggressive whoomph, the force of it rattling the glass panes for a second before it settles into a steady flame. You watch it for a moment, ensuring it is stable, before nodding and moving on. A small professional victory against the hidden dangers of your craft. Your rhythm continues, a steady metronome against the city's muffled heartbeat. Lean, climb, clean, light, adjust, descend. But the context has changed your perception of the ritual. The sounds you hear are disembodied, floating through the thick air without a clear source. The sudden sharp cry of a cat from an unseen alleyway. The mournful low horn of a tugboat navigating the unseen river. The faint, tinny music of a piano drifting from the closed door of a public house. Your solitude feels deeper here, more profound. You are a ghost haunting the streets with a gift of light. You catch fleeting glimpses of the life hidden behind the grimy windows of the tall tenement buildings. A family gathered around a table for a meager supper, their faces illuminated by a single candle. The silhouette of a woman sewing by the window, her needle rising and falling in a steady rhythm of her own. You are lighting their world, but you are not a part of it. You are the quiet, unseen facilitator of their evening lives. Just as the oppressive nature of the fog begins to weigh on you, you are granted a moment of unexpected, private beauty. You light a lamp that stands beside a tall brick wall. The dampness in the air has condensed on the bricks, covering them in a glistening sheen. As your new flame blossoms into life, it catches this wall of moisture, and for a fleeting moment, the entire surface of dark, soot-stained brickwork explodes into a million tiny, glittering points of light, as if it were encrusted with diamonds. The fog swirls around it, the golden light refracts, and you are standing in the middle of a brief, silent, and spectacular jewel box. Then the moment passes. It was a spectacle for you alone. Slowly, your route begins to lead you out of the tightest warren of streets. The alleys widen, and you emerge onto a broader thoroughfare. The fog is still present, but it is less suffocating here. You pause and look back down the street you have just illuminated. Your lamps are not clear, bright stars. They are a trail of soft, hazy pearls, each one glowing within its own small halo, receding into the dense yellow-grey darkness. You have passed through the river of fog. You take a breath, tasting the slightly cleaner air, and turn to face the next stage of your journey. You now move into the arteries of the city, the wider thoroughfares where London's nightlife is beginning to stir. The oppressive yellow fog of the industrial alleys has thinned here, transformed by the sheer number of lights into a soft golden haze. The air is still misty, but it's a mist that glows, catching and refracting the light from countless gas lamps and the brightly lit windows of shops and public houses. The soundscape has changed too. The muffled, disembodied noises of the alleys have been replaced by a more vibrant, though still gentle chorus. The steady, rhythmic clatter of horse hooves on wet stone, the distant, merry tune from a theatre orchestra, and the low, constant murmur of hundreds of conversations blending into a single human hum. Cultural critics often describe the Victorian city as a place of stark contrasts, a theatre where public propriety and private desperation shared the same stage, often only a street apart. As you continue your work, you become a silent audience to this nightly play. Your ladder a portable viewing gallery, the light you create the footlights for each small scene. Your role has subtly shifted. You are no longer a pioneer pushing back the darkness, but a custodian, a quiet observer moving through the world you have helped to illuminate. Under the bright glare of a lamp you have just lit, you see a figure of authority. A policeman, a peeler as they are known, stands directly in the pool of light, his tall helmet and the polished buttons on his tunic catching the yellow glow. He is making notes in a small leather-bound book, his brow furrowed in concentration. This is a common sight. You and he are unspoken partners in the nightly governance of the city. The establishment of his professional police force was a revolution in civic order, but it was a revolution that would have been impossible without your own. A constable's beat was once a treacherous map of impenetrable shadows. Now it is a predictable route of illuminated checkpoints. He looks up from his notes as you approach, his expression stern but not unkind. There is a moment of mutual recognition, two uniformed professionals performing their separate but connected duties. He gives you a slow, formal nod. You nod back. No words are exchanged, none are needed. You are the bringers of light, they are the keepers of the peace that the light allows. You continue on, your ritualistic movements now a familiar backdrop to the city's unfolding dramas. You are so much a part of the landscape that people rarely look at you. You are like a clockwork figure, a piece of the city's machinery, and this invisibility grants you the privilege of observation. You see a flower girl on a corner, bundling up the last of her wilting violets, her face pale and tired in the gaslight. You light the lamp above her, and for a moment, her flowers are granted a final, brief moment of vibrant, colourful life before she packs them away. Further on, a chestnut vendor tends to his cart, the sweet, smoky smell of his wares mixing with the air. The red glow from his brazier and the golden light from your lamp mingle on his face as he serves a customer, a small, warm bubble of commerce in the cool night. A handsome carriage, its own lamps gleaming, pulls up before a grand theatre. A wealthy couple, the man in a fine top hat, the woman in a shimmering gown, steps out onto the pavement. As they do, a small, ragged figure darts from the shadows of a nearby alleyway. He is a link boy, a relic from the darker, pre-gaslight era. In his hand, he holds a linker torch of burning rope dipped in pitch, which sputters and drips, casting a wild, dancing light. He scurries ahead of the couple, illuminating the short but dark stretch of pavement between the curb and the theatre's bright, welcoming entrance. You watch this fleeting transaction, a meeting of two worlds. The link boy is the old magic of fire, chaotic and untamed. You are the new magic of gas, orderly and controlled. He collects a penny for his service and melts back into the darkness from whence he came, his job already obsolete, yet still clinging to the edges of the night. Your route takes you up a gentle incline, and as you ascend your ladder to tend to a lamp, you are afforded a momentary, breathtaking view. You are high enough to see over the rooftops, and before you, the city of London is laid out like a vast, dark map. And drawn upon that map is the work of you and your hundreds of colleagues. A sprawling, interconnected web of golden light traces the lines of the streets, the curves of the crescents, the squares and the parks. It is a man-made constellation, a mirror of the stars above, and you have helped to place one of its small, steady points of light. Not all your route is so full of life. It takes you through a quiet, gated churchyard. Here the air is still, and the silence is profound. The gas lamps you light here seem to have a different purpose. They are not for commerce or for safety, but for remembrance. They cast long, soft-edged shadows behind the old, tilting headstones, giving the place a serene, melancholic beauty. You work more quietly here, your movements more subdued, as if out of respect. Through the railings, you see a solitary figure standing by a grave, their head bowed, and you feel that the gentle, non-judgmental light you have provided is a small comfort. As you near the end of this stage of your journey, on a quiet residential street, A small moment of kindness is offered. You are atop your ladder, adjusting a flame, when a sash window in the house beside you slides open. A young woman, a housemaid by her simple dress, leans out. She avoids your gaze, but she places a steaming tin cup on the wide windowsill. Then, just as quickly, she pulls the window shut. You wait a moment before descending. You pick up the cup. It is hot tea, sweet and strong. An anonymous gift, a silent acknowledgement of your nightly vigil. You stand in the quiet street, the warmth of the cup seeping into your cold hands, a moment of profound, unspoken connection in your solitary work. The city is quieting now. The main rush has subsided. You can smell the river more clearly, a damp, earthy scent on the air. Your journey is nearing its end. You drink the last of the sweet, warm tea, leaving the empty tin cup on the windowsill where you found it. A silent thank you for a silent gift. The warmth spreads through your chest, a small, welcome defense against the growing chill of the late evening. Your route now leads you towards its final destination, away from the last vestiges of city life and towards the great dark river that cuts London in two. The streets are almost entirely deserted now. The sounds of your own footsteps on the damp stone are the loudest thing you can hear. The air is thick with the smell of the Thames, a damp, earthy scent of mud, river water, and distance. Psychogeographers suggest that certain features of a landscape, like a riverbank or a city wall, act as powerful psychological boundaries. They are the edges of a city's consciousness, where the structured, man-made world meets something older, wilder, and more formless. You are now approaching this boundary. The last of the narrow streets opens up, and you find yourself on the wide, stone-paved embankment. Before you is the River Thames. It is not a gentle, sparkling river tonight. It is a vast, silent expanse of moving darkness, a sheet of black glass that drinks the light from the sky. The moon is hidden by clouds, and the only light comes from the distant, shimmering reflections of the lamps on the far bank, their light drawn into long, wavering golden lines by the slow, powerful current. A few barges are moored to the stone wall, their hulking forms sleeping silently on the tide. The silence here is different from the silence of the churchyard. It is older, deeper, filled with the patient, immense power of the water. Your final lamps stand here, along the edge of the embankment, a row of lonely iron sentinels. They feel different from all the others you have lit tonight. They are the city's last line of defense. The light they provide is not for revealing neighbors or preventing crime in a narrow alley. It is for holding back the vast, elemental darkness of the river and the night. You begin to light them, your movements practiced and sure, the familiar rhythm a comfort in this vast, empty space. As you work, you reflect on the sheer scale of the task you are a part of. You are just one man, on one route, in one district. But at this very moment, an army of men just like you is spread across this colossal city, performing this exact same ritual. At the peak of this gaslit era, there are nearly 40,000 gas lamps in London, stretching from the grandest squares of Westminster to the humblest alleys of the East End. It requires a veritable army of lamplighters, each with a precisely timed and mapped-out route to bring the city to light each evening. Your small, personal journey is a single humble thread in a vast, luminous tapestry that covers hundreds of square miles. You are a member of a silent, disciplined fraternity, a brotherhood of lightbringers. You reach the final lamppost on your route. It stands at the very end of the stone embankment, its lantern looking out over the dark water. This is it, the end of the line, the final punctuation mark on your long, winding, nightly sentence. You treat it with a quiet, special reverence. You lean your ladder for the last time. You climb the rungs for the last time. You open the glass door, your fingers cold on the brass latch. You wipe the glass clean, turn the key, and listen to the final soft hiss of the gas. You lift your long pole, its torch flame looking small and brave against the immense darkness of the river. With a final gentle whoomph, the last lamp is lit. You linger for a moment atop the ladder, adjusting the flame to its perfect, steady glow. Your work of illumination is done. From the first lamp in the quiet square to this last lonely beacon on the river, your route is complete. The part of the city in your care is now safe, held in the warm golden web of light you have woven. You descend the ladder for the last time tonight. Now comes the final symbolic act of your ritual. Your job is to light the lamps, not to carry a flame through the lit city. You lower your long pole and hold it horizontally. On its side is a small brass cone, a snuffer. You slide it over the wick of your own torch. The flame that has been your companion all evening, the spark you have carried from lamp to lamp, is extinguished with a soft sigh of smoke. The ritual is over. Your torch is dark. You are no longer the lamplifier. You are simply a man walking home. You shoulder your pole and ladder and begin the long, quiet journey back. The walk is different now. Your eyes are not scanning ahead for the next dark lamppost. Instead, you are free to appreciate the world you have made. You walk through the pools of golden light, noticing how they catch the texture of the cobblestones, how they make the damp slate roofs of the houses shimmer, how they turn a simple puddle into a small magical mirror. You see the beauty of your work, not as its creator, but as a simple inhabitant of it. You are just another Londoner, walking home through the safe and lovely gaslit streets. You arrive at your building, climb the familiar stairs to your small room, and carefully, quietly, put your tools away in their proper place. Your long night's work is finally, peacefully done. The lamps are all lit. The city is safe now, held in a soft golden glow. The lamplighter's long walk is over, his tools are put away, and he has earned his rest. And now, your own journey is complete. Let the images of his quiet, rhythmic work begin to fade in your mind. The gentle scrape of the ladder on the iron post, the soft whoomph of the gas igniting, the feeling of walking on cool, damp cobblestones, the sight of a single perfect flame blooming in the foggy, violet twilight. These are just echoes now, softening at the edges, dissolving into the peaceful quiet of your own room. The story is told. There are no more lamps to light, no more streets to walk. All that is left is the deep, comforting peace that comes after a job well done. It is time to let your own work of the day fade away, to let the quiet of the finished story settle over you. It is time to extinguish your own light, to let your thoughts dim, and to welcome the gentle, healing darkness. There is nothing left to do, only rest. Sleep well. Good night.